Well, I'm going to guess first that I'm going to ask him and congratulate him on the win, and then Sam's going to talk about how badly he's playing in the tournament. Because that's what we usually hear. Sam, congrats on the win, and tell us how things are going.
At least this time I have reason to make such a claim. Nah, I mean, it's just been a horrible event for all the way through. And it's funny, you'd think that I just came in really tired from having, this is like my 7th tournament in a row. And furthermore, I had something like 6 extra blacks in my last tournament. And so when I saw my pairing that I got an extra black here as well, I literally just wanted to scream. Like, it was getting really frustrating. And honestly, an extra black isn't even that big a deal in such a long event, but it was just to put me in a bad mood, and I've just been playing bad. And this game in particular, I think I was completely winning on like move 20, and I just blundered a center pawn, like just straight up knight takes e4. I missed completely, and if you blunder a center pawn, usually you're supposed to lose the game, but I managed to squeak it out.
Is it the case, maybe, as we look at Fabi not playing anywhere near himself, Wesley and Lanier not really competing at the top, that maybe the top players have been playing so much chess that they're tired?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm exhausted. There have been so many tournaments, one right after the other, starting from like, I mean, I've spent 13 days at home since May. I mean, that's a lot. Wow. So, you know, I don't like making excuses. I own my mistakes, and I play bad because I play bad, not because there's some external factor that's causing it. But yeah, I mean, exhaustion certainly has a part to do with it.
So you got 5 rounds to go. What are you going to do?
Well, hopefully play a little better. I mean, this game, I think the endgame I actually played really well. Once I dropped, I think I played basically a pretty good game aside from just dropping a pawn on e4 for one move.
Was this endgame technically winning?
I'm actually really not sure. It's incredibly close. Like in this position after rook e4, I mean, basically my hope is, I think that if he lets me play g4, he's probably lost. So I was most concerned about rook f1. Rook h1 is probably similar, but basically here, my thought was I've got the king cut, I need to get king e3, and what I need to eventually do is get my king off of e3, get my rook to the e3 square, play f4, and then I win. And the question is, can black stop me from doing that? Because if I get that set up, he has no counterplay, and my king should come, and that should win the game. He cannot cut off my king. So the question is, can I pull that off? Yeah, so for example, rook g1 does not actually threaten anything. So here I was even considering playing d5 right now, because if he plays rook d1, then I think rook d4 wins, because he will give me a check somewhere, say rook e1 check, king f4, and once I've got this with my king here, I should just win, because if rook e8, I go d6 and just it's gone, and then yeah, d7 and just wait with the rook, and I will get the king around to g5. So it's very close. I'm not sure. I thought he had to try something like this, and after king e3, let's say rook g1, I mean, he can also give me a check first, let's say. So check, king f2, and now say rook d1, and it's hard for me to organize rook e3. I mean, I can play king e2, rook g1, but then, or king e2, rook a1 is possible as well. It's very hard for me to actually organize getting the rook to e3 in time. So I wasn't sure. I was pretty sure this was my best chance to try to set up like this, but I wasn't sure if it was actually winning or not.
And then what was his critical mistake?
So I think going back to, like, let's say the moment, like back when I took on e4, when he took on e4, I just dropped the pawn. I mean, first of all, I was shocked he played knight d4. I thought this was like way back when. I thought knight d4 was like a horrifically bad move. No, not knight, yeah, but so here, at this point, this should just be very much equal. After a4, I mean, with a4, I was trying to make a draw. I was already trying to equalize. But so, for example, after knight c3 check as he played, which is certainly not the only move, but it's fine. Take on c3, takes, bc5, takes. Yeah, so after a takes b5, rook b1, I thought he should have played b4. I thought this was the easiest way, because I can't really take this pawn, because then after castle, I'm not in time to stop a rook from coming to e8 with some serious problems. So after b4, I think I have to play like rook a5. And then after rook a5, he can go rook c8, and once again, I cannot take this pawn. But after, like, basically at some point, I'll go rook b5 or something. At some point, I will get this pawn, but he'll be able to trade the bishop for the knight. And then it's a dead draw. It's not even close. Because once I got the knight versus bishop, I'm sure it's still a draw, but like, knight versus bishop, it can get very annoying once I got d4, king d3. I really thought I had chances. Yeah.
But you're saying that this endgame, even down to this point, you weren't totally sure you could win it.
Yeah, king f8 I was very surprised by. I thought this was a very bad move, because it just lets me get the rooks to the 7th rank, and then he can't contest it. I suspect, actually, after king f8, what he missed was rook a7 that he can't go bishop f6, because it looks like at first instead of rook a8, yeah, so it looks like he can after rook a7. It looks like he can play bishop f6 and escape, but it wins for white after rook b7, bishop d4, take it, rook d4, and it looks like I should have to give a perpetual, but I believe I win with rook f7, king g8, and now rook g7. He must go king h8, and then rook h7, king g8, rook a g7, king f8, and then rook d7, and he does not have c2 because rook h8 is mate. So I believe this wins. And so I think when he played king f8 that he probably missed this rook gd7 at the end there, and this is now lost. So once I got the rooks like this, I mean, it's just incredibly hard for black to play. Like my next move is rook c7, when he's going to have to either lose this pawn or trade a pair of rooks and let my king get to d3. So instead of king f8, I thought he should have played h6, when it's not so easy for me to stop his bishop from coming to d2. And I still would play this with white. I'm going to try, but I would be shocked if I really have anything tangible. Because here I was calculating like rook e1, and he's just barely in time. After bishop g5, rook takes e8, rook e8, and then rook c5, bishop d2. His bishop's just so much more active on d2 than on b2, and my king is cut. And the point is that here, if knight e3, which I was originally thinking this was looking very good, get the king to d3 and gone, but he has f5 here, and I can't take it with either piece, and I can't play king e2, and here I should probably think about making a draw. No, rook takes f5, he'll play rook takes e3, actually, is even stronger, and then I probably lose. So yeah, it was, I mean, I'm sure it was defensible once his bishop was on b2. I'm pretty sure even the rook ending, once it's one pawn up, is still a draw, but it's not easy, and it's take a lot of effort.
All right, well, great analysis there. We'll let you bask in the glow of this victory and hopefully be able to win some more games.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done, Sam.
One game.